their defense finally showed up. Week 3 win in New Orleans. Mike, what's the word? The Eagles' defense this season will be what?
Improved. And again, new coordinator and Vic Fangio, a lot of young players at all levels of their defense, including multiple rookies on the back end. My experience is that will get better. It will take time. Vic Fangio is a very good defensive coach. I think you take his experience with the youth of multiple picks, starting with Quinyon Mitchell, who's starting at corner for them. It'll get better. And players like Jalen Carter, they're young players, but they will be ascending.
It held the Saints to 71 yards in the first half last week as well, so New Orleans can vouch for that. Tampa, playing the Eagles, need what to beat them this week? What's the word?
Turnovers. And I think the winner of the turnover game is going to win this game. And when they do that, they are really hard to beat. This is a team that really thrives on that. They a lot of pressure packages under Coach Bowles, and then they become very opportunistic on the back end, which they did here. You can see in the Detroit Lion game.
Might be a rough matchup then for Philly. Jalen Hurts has thrown a pick in 8 straight, counting that wild card loss. The Bucs love zone coverage. They love the blitz. Neither's been kind to Hurts. I mean, better against the blitz this year than last, still struggling against zone. Those numbers not encouraging against Tampa. Kansas City, 3-0 for the first time since 2020 when they lost to Tampa in the Super Bowl in Tampa. That's where we tied together. 3 wins for KC, Mike, by 7, 1, and 5 points. But the standings say 3-0. Chiefs' trio of one-possession wins are what?
Well-coached team. You don't win that many close games without knowing how to handle situational football, third down, red zone, 2 minutes at the end of each half. You could complain about the officiating. Maybe they've gotten the benefit of the doubt, but Andy Reid and his staff have done a great job. You don't win that many close games, especially big close games, without having a great first ballot Hall of Famer like we're seeing here in Coach Reid.
Well, Kansas City 3-0 for the first time since 2020. They also started 4-0 that year. A team standing in the way of 4-0, the injury-plagued Chargers. Again, that game Monday morning, 6:30 on ESPN. Mike, LA has a Week 5 bye. There's temptation with 2-1, 2-1 rest Justin Herbert, namely. But this Chargers rebuild, new coach, a lot of young pieces. The Chargers rebuild is what? On
schedule. Jim Harbaugh has won every place he's been. You knew they were going to go offensive line in the draft, which they did with Joe Alt. They moved on from some really good players that were getting up in age, like the Keenan Allens of the world. And they are a tough team, building a really strong offensive line. Everything else is a work in progress. But from a Charger front office ownership standpoint, I think they have to be pleased where they are.
Chargers Chiefs from SoFi kicks off at 6:25 a.m. on Monday on ESPN. Blitz to follow. Mike, we've got another Monday Night Football doubleheader this week, Tuesday morning. The earlier of the 2 kicks, Miami, Tennessee from Hard Rock. Will Levis, second in the league in sacks taken, second in INTs thrown, first in WTF moments. The Titans' QB situation is what?
Very fluid, and if I'm Brian Callahan, I'm saying, hey, look, this is your job, but it's not unconditional, and there are standards here, and hopefully you live up to them. But those WTF moments that you just mentioned, Phil, they're not acceptable.
Why the face, Phil Dunphy?
Yeah, they are not acceptable. You want to own this team, this franchise, in terms of being the person who's in charge. You have to understand that that ball represents everyone's job security, and what you've dealt with it is not acceptable thus far.
Titans 0-3 for the first time since 2009 when they started 0-6. Miami would love to wake the echoes of Kerry Collins and send Tennessee further down that path. But Miami, Mike, 0-3 themselves for the first time since 2019. That was the tank for Tua season. It's starting to feel like it's getting late early on South Beach. The Dolphins season is what?
Not over. 3 weeks in, they have a lot of good players. Look, to think they're going to be going out there with Tim Boyle, I don't think anyone thought that was going to be happening. But you got to rely on what you do have, which is Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devin A-Chain, and you have a couple really good pass rushers. So play to your strength. There's different ways to win the games. It's not ideal, but we still have a long way to go. 7 teams make the playoffs. Last year, Joe Flacco led the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs.